Just 9 days until Super Bowl 55. Welcome into NFL Total Access. My name is MJ Acosta-Ruiz. The angles are endless here. We'll prove it too, as Sean O'Hara and Cynthia Freeland join me tonight. We're full steam ahead on this train to Tampa, but hey, we have a few stops to make as the Houston Texans introduce their new head coach today. David Culley is filling the final head coaching spot across the league. Culley and the Texans have agreed to terms on a 5-year deal. He joins the Texans after serving as the Baltimore Ravens assistant head coach. Culley is well aware of the work that needs to be done and the chatter around his quarterback.
Deshaun Watson's a Houston Texan. He's a quarterback of the Houston Texans. And that's all that I was concerned about. And that's all I knew. And whatever was been said about what he wanted to do or he didn't want to do, all I know is this. Having been in this business this long, he is a Houston Texan. And I want him to be a Houston Texan. And the reason I'm in this position today is because I knew he's going to be a Houston Texan.
All right, very firm statements there. We're bringing you every angle of this story, of course, with our insider, Tom Pelissero, and our analysts today, Sean O'Hara and Cynthia Freeland. Tom, I want to start with you here because the saga continues. But what happens now? Where do the Texans go from here?
Well, MJ, what you heard from the Texans' new brain trust today is really the same thing we've been hearing behind the scenes for weeks. The Texans have no plans to trade Deshaun Watson. They do not want to trade Deshaun Watson, and they've really been putting together this new coaching staff with an eye toward Watson being their quarterback in 2021 and beyond. They retained the offensive coordinator, Tim Kelly, who Watson likes a lot. They recruited quarterbacks coach Pep Hamilton, who's done really good work with other young quarterbacks. And they hired a head coach in David Culley, who you just saw it there in that press conference. He is going to be very positive. He's high energy, really the polar opposite from what they had with Bill O'Brien. Now, Deshaun Watson has made clear through his tweets and otherwise that he wants out. He doesn't want to return to Houston. Well, what he can do right now, because he's under contract through 2025, is continue to tweet, continue to make clear, hey, I'm not showing up. For the Texans, well, they really don't have to do anything. They can afford to wait here, try to repair things, and then if they get into a spot down the line where Watson doesn't show up for a mini camp or for training camp, then they can begin to fine him and eventually go after over $20 million in bonus money. I can tell you, Culley has reached out to Watson. There's obviously a lot of work that would go into potentially repairing that relationship. Meanwhile, other teams have called the Texans. So far, I've been told they're not getting calls back.
All right, listen, that's a lot of layers, a lot of different angles, too. And to Tom's point, Cynthia, you've actually done a deep dive here on the salary and on really what is the caps around the league for Deshaun Watson. So what are the potential good partners here for Deshaun?
Well, let's be honest. No one wants to get rid of Deshaun Watson. I understand Coach Culley completely because this guy is super valuable. When you look at quarterback win share, so how many wins a quarterback adds, Deshaun Watson projects to add 5.2 wins to the Washington football team. That's a huge number. If you look at the top 5 quarterbacks over the last 5 seasons, the average for them is about 4.8 wins added. Just so you know, Patrick Mahomes 2 seasons ago, that was 5.5. That's the highest I've ever seen. So that gives you a little bit of the range. So if you look to see Washington with this defense, why? Because he doesn't really need a great O-line. He doesn't need like what they have for the Colts. The Colts have an awesome O-line. But if you look to see defense plus Deshaun Watson, huge uptick in value. Another place that could also be great, Carolina. This is because of the skill players there. He adds 5.1 there. And then another place, Miami. 5 wins added to Miami, primarily because of their corners.
I'm sorry, what? Okay, look, Cynthia has this whole algorithm, this whole formula, cap plus production plus the numbers. I'll leave that to you. But Sean O'Hara, jump in here for a moment because you have a very keen perspective here. Offensive lineman, also known as a quarterback's best friend. So how does David Culley now, who's inherited this situation, really handle it with Deshaun Watson and his new QB?
Yeah, I mean, but look, MJ, before we move Deshaun Watson's talents to South Beach, I think everybody's got to pump the brakes here. And if I'm in that locker room, if I'm J.J. Watt or Whitney Merciless or, Zach Cunningham, I'm saying, look, Deshaun Watson is our best player. You're going to let him walk out the door? No, absolutely not. That can't happen. And I think that's got to be mission number 1 for David Culley because any new coach will tell you they have to earn the trust of the locker room. In order for players to follow you, and to listen to you and to be motivated by you, they have to trust you. And I think that's this is a big first challenge. You know, congratulations, David Culley. You got the head coaching job. Now you've got to put out a fire that has gone from a slow ember to a straight-up bonfire right now. And no doubt, Houston, we have a problem. But I think for Deshaun Watson, he has meant so much to the city of Houston. He's meant so much to that team. I think that, you know, throughout some time and, you know, maybe things calm down a little bit, maybe he can have some conversation with David Culley before he tries to throw any gasoline on this. Because, look, when it comes to a trade, it's not about, hey, do I want a beach house? Yeah, it's about how much is that going to cost. And Deshaun Watson is prime real estate right now. The Houston Texans, they can't give him away for nothing.
All right, I'm going to add one more wrinkle here, guys, because last night I was hosting the NFL Pro Bowl versus battle with DeAndre Hopkins and Jalen Ramsey. And as we're looking at D-Hop's old Texans highlights, he set one up by saying, oh, my boy, former Texan Deshaun Watson. It was off the cuff, of course, in the moment. Caught us all a little off guard there. He didn't really expand on it, but still an interesting thing for him to sort of say in passing. We kept it moving, though, but another wrinkle there from a guy who knows Deshaun Watson pretty well. All right, guys, speaking of versus, tonight is the final NFL Pro Bowl versus battle with, yes, the man himself. Deshaun Watson will go head-to-head in a highlights battle with Michael Vick. I'll be hosting the battle tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on NFL Twitter and the Versus Instagram page. Meantime, the Eagles introduced their new head coach today as well. Nick Sirianni was introduced as the new head coach in Philadelphia and almost immediately was met with questions about their quarterback position. No hard and fast answers there from Sirianni, who says he's going to look at every factor.
What we need to do is evaluate the entire roster. We have a lot of things to go through with these next couple weeks of evaluating the entire roster and every position. Quarterback, wide receiver, defensive back. That is what we're going to be diving into here. And it's great. I mean, we have two quarterbacks in Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts that are top-notch. That are top-notch quarterbacks. And a lot of teams don't have any. And so just really excited to work with both of them.
All right, let's take a look at some other layers here with Sean and Cynthia. And Cynthia, you've looked at all the analytics of how Sirianni could really handle this quarterback situation. So what's your assessment about how this could all play out in Philly?
Well, I think it's interesting that you have two quarterbacks and you're not saying what you want yet. That's good. We've seen other teams give away their leverage position or other players give away their leverage position. So this is a positive note for them from that regard. However, when you look to see hiring Brian Johnson, who has really direct ties to Jalen Hurts, that could kind of give away an opportunity to kind of show your hand a little bit. So when you look to see where Jalen Hurts has a lot of productive value, he's a different type of quarterback than Carson Wentz. So it's kind of which strategy could prevail. You don't really have a congruent strategy between the two of them. So I think we'll see this play out. I don't think both end up on the roster starting week 1 of next season. But I do think in terms of leverage, not giving away your game plan is going to be a positive thing for them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Cynthia, you know, I was waiting for your spreadsheet on where the Eagles are from a cap situation, because that's going to be a huge factor in this. You know, we're going to need some algebra here to figure out how they get under the cap, given all of these high-priced players they have. So, you know, look, Coach Sirianni, you know, look, it's like the Siri app on your phone, right? He's going to be asked all kinds of questions. His first question is going to be, hey, Siri, who's my offensive line? Because forget about the quarterbacks. It's great that we have two. We don't want to have to go through both of them by week 3 because we have nobody to block. So the offensive line was an issue last year, and I think that led to a lot of the issues with Carson Wentz. So if they could fix things up front, give themselves a better identity offensively, protect the quarterback a little bit better, run the football a little bit better, I think they'll have a better option at quarterback. But no doubt about it, if you're a head coach right now, I mean, look, we just talked about David Culley down in Houston. He might not even have a quarterback, and now we've got Nick Sirianni, who has 2 quarterbacks. That's quite a luxury.
Yeah, we have the master of analytics and the master of wordplay and analogies with us tonight, so this is going to get very interesting. Cynthia and Sean, thank you. And we go from QB question to one who continues to erase doubt. Tom Brady, a few days away from his 10th Super Bowl appearance in what's now his home stadium in Tampa Bay. No one discounts Brady, least of all the guys game planning for him.
It's all about us just, going back over the details, going back over the little things, understanding that, we're playing against Tom Brady and it's going to take 4 quarters to kind of put this guy away. And doesn't matter how many points we're up by or what the situation is going into the second half. We got to find a way to kind of close the door on Tom because he's always shown, the ability to put his team, back in the game.
No question. And Sean and Cynthia, I feel like I say Tom Brady's name more than I do my own these days. I'm sure the Chiefs players can say the same thing right about now. But Sean, when we look at the other side here, KC now has this task of filling a vital spot on the offensive line. Put us in that O-line room. Will the Chiefs be able to fill that void left by Eric Fisher?
Yeah, MJ, this is a huge void. Eric Fisher tearing his Achilles, right before the biggest game of the year. That's not ideal. So no doubt they're going to have to find a way to create some chips, help him out. You don't want to get him one-on-one on 3rd and long situations. So, JPP, look, he took advantage of the Green Bay Packers backup left tackle, Billy Turner, last week, got 2 sacks against him. And this is what Mike Remmers is going to have to face in filling in. This is just a little Euro step right here, a little outside hand chop, beats Billy Turner right here. Look at that outside hand right there. And once he gets that shoulder, JPP can run the circle. So now he sets him up. All right, he beat him to the outside. Now he gets Billy Turner to open up, and I would just prise him open like a beer can on his way to the quarterback. Watch that inside hand right there. He grabs his wrist. Great hand control. JPP is a handful. So this is what Mike Remmers is going to be faced with now, and you don't want to see JPP dropping the sledgehammer in your backfield on your quarterback.
All right, Cynthia, I want you to bring it back to Tom here. How did the Buccaneers keep Tom Brady in a favorable passing situation, of course, clean and protected?
Yeah, so if you look at the strategy that Steve Spagnuolo has implemented this season, you'll see that they didn't bring a lot of pressure. Meaning, if you look to see the pressure rate, they actually ranked in the bottom 10 in the NFL in terms of 23.3. That's the next-gen stat. That's how often they brought pressure. It's actually even lower since the playoffs, only 22.2. The interesting thing here is they dropped back in coverage, and they were really good at defending 10-plus air yard passes. So if you look to see how Tristan Wirfs and this O-line is going to navigate this, it's going to be to leverage the run game. Ronald Jones has been a surprise. Of course, Leonard Fournette, especially in the playoffs. But if you look at Ronald Jones, Rojo had 219 rushing yards over expected. So this is kind of a metric that says, okay, we thought he was going to get this many given the down distance and situation, but he exceeded that at the 5th best rate in the NFL. So that's a really nice uptick that keeps Tom Brady from having to pass on every down.
All right, well, we've been talking all week about the insanity of Tom Brady's reign, right, Cynthia? But let me just paint a broader picture. I want you both to take a look at this, everyone at home as well. So Tom Brady's probability of making a Super Bowl as a starter is 50%, which means him being the marquee guy here in another championship is more likely than any team in the NFL to convert a 3rd down in 2020. The Bills had the highest this season, and they were at 49.7%. Another thing he's more likely than doing, Michael Jordan or Steph Curry to make a shot, Babe Ruth to get on base, or Sidney Crosby to score a goal in an NHL game. Are you kidding me? I mean, when you look across the sports landscape here, guys, he's on another tier. This is ridiculous.
Also proves that football quarterback's the most valuable in any sport. So when you look to see the Tom Brady, look, that 50%, that's a very fun rate. And that Michael Jordan number and the Steph Curry, I kind of trying to figure out which one's better, because Steph does take the long-range jumper, like Tom Brady with the deep pass.
Yeah, and I'll just say, look, for Tom Brady to have that 50% ratio when you're relying on 10 other guys on the field to do their jobs every single time, and then 11 guys defensively to do their job, that's pretty remarkable.
But you know what it also gives? It gives plenty of inspiration to the players trying to come into the league and be as great as Tom is. And of course, we're talking about Reese's Senior Bowl, which, by the way, you can catch tomorrow night right here on NFL Network, or tomorrow afternoon, rather, at 2:30 Eastern. It was an unprecedented college football season, and tomorrow's draft prospects get a chance to really shine, like Notre Dame defensive end Dalen Hayes, who impressed this week in Mobile. He even put tackle Spencer Brown on his back at practice. Hayes is ready to make it all count on the next level.
That I'm the most dominant player here in the draft. Like, I want to show guys, I think guys have a lot of questions about my pass rush production. So I'm excited to be able to come down here and show guys what I can do and be able to compete against the best So, yeah, I really want to show them that I'm a competitor, that I'm the best player in the draft, and that I can be as productive as anyone. So I'm excited.
And as for Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 prospects in the draft, the top 10 feature the following. Clemson QB Trevor Lawrence in the top spot. BYU quarterback Caleb Farley rounds out the top 5, and Heisman Trophy winner and Alabama wide receiver Devontae Smith as the 7th top prospect. For more on DJ's prospect analysis, you can head over to NFL.com. On NFL Total Access, the top 5 for 55, as in the top 5 pass catchers for Super Bowl 55. Throw out the speed, throw out the stats, throw out the rep. This isn't about what they did to get to Tampa. This is about what they're going to do in Tampa. No one is more interested in what Steve Spagnuolo's going to do in Tampa than Tom Brady. Spags wrecked the Pats' perfect season back in 08. What's he got dreamed up and schemed up this time around? Plus, the most valuable player of Super Bowl 55 is not who you expected. Bold predictions still to come on NFL Total Access.
NFL Total Access.
We here, man. It's Championship Sunday. Keep that camera on me, dog. Look where we at now. We gonna go play at home next week. We like that. We've been here. My birthday today, man. Come on, help me to punch that ticket. One more to go. Job not done. We on the Tampa though. Hey, keep the camera on me, dog. I'm going crazy. For the city, I go crazy, man. That's what I do, man. Hey, we going back to the bowl, man. Huh? Hey, way to ball. Go to me, man.
Great playing, bro. Great season. Yeah, way to go. Take care, man. You too.
All right, Cynthia, no doubt a lot of firepower on the offenses for both of these Super Bowl bound teams. You've looked at the film and at the figures. So who do you see pass catcher-wise putting up the most numbers in Super Bowl 55? Start the countdown for us.
Okay, so I'm glad you said pass catcher because I wanted to bring up Travis Kelce in this one. He comes in at number 5, not because I don't think he's going to have a monstrous game, but you said we're ranking them 5 to 1. So when I look at areas where I think there's something really strong in my model and watching the film, it's Travis Kelce to score a touchdown. He might not have 117 yards to break Gronk's record, but it's going to be a lot of yards and a touchdown. And then when I go to number 4, I'm going to the other side of the ball. I'm looking at Antonio Brown. Of course, this assumes that he's playing, duh, but ultimately his impact outside the numbers in these playoffs and the run-up to the playoffs, actually, that's been really impactful, giving Tom Brady multiple deep options, keeping him from turning the ball over. You saw what happened when he wasn't there, more likely to turn the ball over. So he has a nice impact on that one, which brings me to number 3, another one of those pass catchers, Chris Godwin. Interestingly enough, if there's one area that you want to potentially target, it's probably the linebacker level of the Kansas City Chiefs defense. So when you look to see where Chris Godwin has been especially devastating, it's kind of the catch and run on those more intermediate linebacker coverage routes. So that makes him really interesting and a really big impact. But then you got to go with the next one, which is Mike Evans. Obviously, his ability to draw out on the perimeter and to keep everything open so all these other guys can catch passes. Maybe it's not necessarily going to be his numbers, which are going to potentially be very big. I have a high-scoring game projected, but also his impact for the other guys. And that leaves one and only, you know who it is, at number 1. Guess who it is? Tyreek Hill, of course. I don't necessarily think it's going to be 200 and a bajillion yards in this game, but his ability to catch passes outside the numbers. He got all 3 of his touchdowns outside the numbers last time. Ridiculous number of catches there, 10 of his 13. That's where he is so daggering, devastating. They will go back to that well. Even though Todd Bowles will try to stop it, still Tyreek Hill has the advantage in that one.
What was that very technical term, Cynthia? Bajillion yards? Just okay. It's a statistical term for everyone at home. I see here, though, that leans a little heavier on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers side. I'm just making an observation here. Cynthia, thanks. For all of you at home, here's a little way you can get involved. Rocket Mortgage Super Bowl Squares is back with millions of dollars in prizes. It's the largest official game of Super Bowl Squares ever, and it's free. Every time the score changes during Super Bowl 55, one lucky winner will receive $50 grand. Plus, Rocket Mortgage is giving away $2 grand grand prizes of $500,000 you could use towards your dream home. So see rules. Enter for free $99 at rocketmortgagesquares.com.
Love you, kiddo. How about that?
Good job.
Let's go to the Super Bowl, baby. What do you think? I love you, man. Way to go. I'll see you. I'll call you a little bit later.
I love you.
All right. Love you, kiddo.
All right, a heartwarming moment in cold Green Bay between Tom Brady and his young son. Of course, in 9 days, they will be on the field rocking their white jerseys as the first team to play a Super Bowl in their hometown. Besides, having some good home cooking going for them, they're also pretty healthy heading into the game. Sarah Walsh has more on how practice went today in Tampa.
The Buccaneers practiced at full speed today, even if they weren't at full strength. Some of the names that we're keeping an eye on: Antonio Brown, Antoine Winfield Jr., Jordan Whitehead. They were not out at practice today, and that wasn't unexpected. Bruce Arians told us we likely wouldn't see those guys until next week. Of course, Tom Brady was out on the field, and he says it feels really good to be playing right now, especially given all that they have put into it. But now it is about finishing the job in what he calls a magical season. He says the goal is always to win the last game of the year, and they have an opportunity to do it. The Bucs have reeled off 7 straight wins. That matches their win total from all of last year. The Bucs are trying to become just the 5th team to win the Super Bowl after being below 500 the year before. The last to do it, the 2017 Eagles.
And of course, the 2017 Eagles team squared off against Tom Brady. And here we are 3 years later with Brady getting another shot at the Super Bowl. A lot of credit to go around for the Bucs' success this season. And according to the New York Daily News, they wouldn't be there without a giant. Because you may remember, I know Tom Brady does, Bucs pass rusher Jason Pierre-Paul was a part of a stout defensive front that beat Brady in the Super Bowl for a second time in Super Bowl 46. And I'm sure everybody at home remembers the first time the Giants got the upper hand over TB12 on the big stage.
February the 3rd, 2008. At stake, the Vince Lombardi Trophy.
Let's scream! Go get it! Go get it!
Steps up, gets hit, sack, fumble the football. It's loose on the ground. They scramble for it. Giant ball at midfield.
That's how you start off. No way!
Manning to throw to the end zone. Touchdown! David Tyree on the post. And the Giants have the lead. Brady lobs to the end zone.
Touchdown! Randy Moss! One touchdown, we are world champions.
Manning gonna be sacked. No, he got out of it. Now he fires downfield, and it is caught. How in the world did he do that? Looks left, lobs it left. First is wide open. Touchdown Giants! And the Giants, with the most improbable win, have won Super Bowl 42. Read all about it, baby. Big Blue! And let the celebration begin.
Sean O'Hara, we had to hit you there with the Flashback Friday on that game. Listen, Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, was your DC in that game. A lot of fans came really familiar with the NASCAR package. That pass rush, relentless against Tom Brady.
Yeah, a lot of love for Spags in the New York area. And of course, as a former player of his, we all loved Spags. That NASCAR package, it was funny because it was the third down package. And as an old lineman, when you heard him in practice saying NASCAR, you knew it's like, all right, here they come. They're teeing off on you. And that's exactly what they did in that Super Bowl. And I think when, for a lot of people that may not remember the Patriots offense that year, MJ, they were the #1 scoring offense in the league. They were breaking records all season long. They put up 38 points on that same defense in Week 17 in our home stadium. So this was the second go at it. And I remember Tom Coughlin coming in Wednesday morning saying, we got to hit this guy. We got to hit Tom Brady, knock him on the ground, knock him around, make him feel uncomfortable. And Spags took that to the next level. And he wasn't scared to bring pressure, but no doubt about it, with 5 sacks and 9 quarterback hits in that game, it was all about disrupting Tom Brady.
Oof. And listen, that offense was even better than the Chiefs are this year. But 13 years later, Brady now with another potent offense. Do you think that Spags can use some form of that game plan now when he goes up against Brady?
Yeah, I think he's going to piggyback some of the things that worked well, and they're going to certainly try to layer up on a couple of different coverages. But keep in mind, Steve Spagnuolo is a descendant of the Jim Johnson concept and philosophy, which when in doubt, bring the heat, bring pressure, and that's exactly what Spags wants to do. Let's go back, MJ, to week 12, and let's see, what did the Chiefs do? This is the fourth play of the game. This is a Will Mike scrape, all right? The Will linebacker is going to be picked up by the running back, and the Mike linebacker is coming free. All right, this is what Spags is trying to do, get that unblocked blitzer. Look at a big hit on Tom Brady on the fourth play of the game. They miss right there, a huge play to Mike Evans. Well, guess what? We're coming right back to it. If we got home, you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to see it again. Here it is in a different form. They catch the Bucs in an empty formation, so the right tackle has to squeeze. Again, another unblocked defender bearing down on Tom Brady. He's got to burn the ball out of bounds. All right, now they've blitzed you. Now they got you thinking pressure. This is good. They're going to disguise pressure. The left side looks like they're coming. They bail out. They bring pressure from the right, and Tom's got to get the ball out. Well, the problem is they're dropping that underneath defender for those crossing and slant routes because they know you're trying to get the ball out quick. So this is exactly what Spags wants to do. You call that an adjacent linebacker blitz, meaning two linebackers next to each other are going to blitz, but he loves to cross them. It makes it hard to pass off. Look for that to be a big factor in this game early on.
No doubt, film from that specific game playing over and over this week over in KC. All right, Sean, thanks. And another part of Tampa's winning recipe, the Bucs coaching staff, of course, they'll have two black coordinators on the sideline at Super Bowl 55. It's just one aspect of the diverse staff Bruce Arians has assembled. Women also play a key role on the Bucs coaching staff. Here's a look back at how this coaching team came together. Future stars of the league, Andrew Siciliano and Bucky Brooks, have a recap from their final day.
So Bucky Brooks, Matt Rule made it clear on Wednesday, and he made it clear again before practice on Thursday, that the final practice of the week was the most important practice of the week. With that said, who'd you like out there Thursday?
You know, Andrew, Thursday is really the most important day because you're putting the finishing touches on the week. And I would say, offensively, Amari Rodgers was the star of the day. His ability to get open versus everybody as a slot receiver has been very, very impressive. His timing, his route running ability, his consistent separation, and finally his hands has certainly made him be one of the guys that we will talk about after this is said and done. On defense, it's all about Richie Grant and his ability to get his hands on the ball. 2 interceptions a day, does a great job of anticipating where quarterbacks are going with their throws. And most importantly, he comes down with the interception when he gets a chance. There were a lot of questions about the safety class coming down to Mobile. Richie Grant has emerged as a star. He has certainly helped himself with his performance.
In a lot of these drills, the wide receivers do have the advantage here. Richie Grant is one of the DBs that really showed up, was able to take the ball away, had those 2 key picks, both of them on Jamie Newman, the Wake Forest quarterback. He almost had a 3rd interception, and we're looking forward to seeing all of them coming up in the actual game. The Reese's Senior Bowl Saturday. It's going to be 2:30 Eastern Time, live from Mobile, Alabama, right here on NFL Network.
Tuesday is the NFL's 6th annual First and Future pitch competition that's focused on innovations advancing athlete safety and performance. 4 startups look to make their mark on the NFL as they pitch their cutting-edge technologies to a panel of judges. First and Future, powered by AWS, Tuesday at 8 Eastern, right here on the NFL Network. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes is a key factor for the Chiefs isn't exactly hard-hitting analysis, but according to our film room expert Brian Baldinger, it's how
Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill's been getting this week is just how will he duplicate the success he had in that first meeting with the Bucs. If you remember, he had 203 receiving yards in the first quarter of that game, but he only had 66 after that point. And when asked about that, Hill joked that, well, he just started getting tired of running around so much, but he also said he has great respect for Bucs defensive coordinator Todd Bowles and the job they did after that point. He said Bowles did a great job of double teaming him and rolling safeties to help out with cornerback Carlton Davis, and is expecting that kind of approach this time around. He knows the Bucs will not let him just run around and destroy their game plan a second time around. On a different note, head coach Andy Reid was asked about Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, not getting a job for the 3rd straight offseason. Reid said, look, it's a bittersweet deal. He loves having Bieniemy around, loves the kind of man he is, but he also thinks he should have a head coaching job by this point. He also said hats off to David Culley, another former assistant of his who got that Houston Texans job. But as Reid said, Bieniemy's time should be now, and he wants to see him get that head coaching job at some point.
Let's head to the film room now for a Baldy breakdown on Patrick Mahomes.
In this Baldy Super Bowl breakdown, I'm going to talk about Patrick Mahomes. He's my favorite player in the league to study because I think we're watching history every time he takes the field. And we will in Super Bowl 55. I call it the X Factor because he just does things that nobody else really can do consistently. Like he gets quick pressure in his face here on this play action pass right here. A little fake toss, but here's quick pressure. But then quick decisions and quicker release to get the ball out to Tyreek Hill, to find that receiver in just a quick second. And then his ability to just find the opening, the escape route, but is always scanning, looking to throw first and to run second. But you have to account for him as a runner, especially down here in the goal line. I mean, he loves this play right here, this little pitch option. He likes to keep it himself. Maybe he would throw it outside of Arrowhead Stadium. But then even right here, after the turf toe, after the concussion, Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy still called his number to keep the defense honest on that pitch option. Going back to Super Bowl 54. Remember this play right here? Travis Kelce slips on the turf. He's got nowhere to go, so he takes it in the alley himself, takes the shot from Jimmy Ward, and gets right up. Make sure Jimmy Ward is all right. And here he is down the goal line, pitch option. Little reverse out, fake it, let the defense honor the fake, and get into the end zone for a score. And then at the end of the game, 3rd and 5 right here. Nick Bosa was chasing. Eric Armstead was chasing him. DeForest Buckner was chasing him. On 3rd and 5, he knew exactly where the sticks are. He's just a special player that loves the moment. It's never too big for him, and no lead is ever safe when Patrick Mahomes is on the field. Look for him again in Super Bowl 55.
Total Access is brought to you by Volvo.
Filed this under, love to see it. Ron Rivera is officially cancer-free, posting this message on Twitter saying, "Thank you, everyone, for your prayers, letters, texts, and notes of encouragement and support. It truly made a difference in my treatment and recovery. Hashtag Rivera Strong." Love it. Love it. So happy for Coach. And tonight, don't forget, is the final night of NFL Pro Bowl Versus. I'll be co-hosting tonight, and we're closing this thing out the right way. Deshaun Watson and Michael Vick go head-to-head in a highlights battle. Watch tonight, 8 Eastern on NFL social channels. Now, if Brady gets that 7th Super Bowl, guys, we're going through all of these stats here. It will be a bold statement, but I want to get some bold predictions for Super Bowl 55. Sean, what's yours?
Yeah, MJ, 7 is a magical number, and I think a lot of people are going to be rooting for Tom Brady, myself included. But there's one thing that Tom Brady has, and that's he's got a lot of statistical firsts. He leads the NFL in all kinds of Super Bowl categories, but here's one that I'm sure he wishes he didn't have. He threw for 505 yards in a loss. He's the only quarterback in the history of the game to do that. And I think history repeats itself. I think Tom Brady, my bold prediction is Tom Brady will throw for more yards than Patrick Mahomes. But again, it will be in a losing effort.
Is that bold? I think you got to go bolder on this one. I'm going with that Tyrann Mathieu is going to be the Super Bowl MVP. You know why? Because this team has the 2nd lowest completion percentage allowed to deep passes.